Photos taken before disaster, Part 4. This was the final photo taken of James Gandolfini the night the 51-year-old actor suffered a massive heart attack in his hotel room in Rome, Italy. Hours before his sudden death, he scarfed down a double order of fried king prawns in a huge pile of foie gras, washed down with 2 pina coladas, 4 shots of rum, and a few beers. It would end up being his final meal. This 1998 photo was taken in Omagh, Ireland, just minutes before a bomb placed in the red car exploded. 29 people were killed by the blast and another 220 were injured. The cameraman of this photo died, but the man and his daughter happened to survive. This security photo shows teacher Dave Sanders guiding students out of the cafeteria during the Columbine High School massacre of 1999. After hearing gunshots from outside the school, Sanders sounded the alarm and saved over 100 students by herding them away from the shooters. Sadly, he was later shot 3 times and ended up being the only teacher killed in the shooting.
Do you really know why God created hell? This is one thing that many fail to understand, so pay attention. First of all, hell is the most horrible place full of pain, torment, and the most unimaginable pain. Hell is a place you would not even wish your worst enemy to go. So why did God create such a horrible place? Hell was created for the devil and his fallen angels. They rebelled in heaven against God because the devil wanted to rise against God. This place is made for any spirit that rejects God and rebel against God. People are not meant to go to hell, but because they reject God and side with the devil, therefore they go to hell where he belongs. Listen, you deserve to go to heaven because that's where God our Father is and that's where we all come from. Type I belong to heaven in the comments and subscribe to learn more.
You guys have me feel like I'm going crazy. Yes, obviously in the Saw X trailer, we had John Kramer. He is going to be the protagonist of this film. He is the main character. We also see Amanda. She's back, she's alive, and allegedly it's not a cameo. She has like a whole supporting role in this movie, which is awesome. And I mean, he's a puppet, but Billy is here. Congratulations. Hi, Billy. We missed you. But Mark Hoffman's voice is also in the trailer. And I went online on Twitter and I'm like, guys, oh my gosh, Hoffman's voice. And a bunch of people are like, oh, do you think that's him? Is that what he sounds like? I know the sound of this man's voice anywhere. It is him. It's literally not even a doubt.
Detectives know this woman entered a luxury apartment building and never left. How has she been missing since? On October 17th, 2019, Heidi Plank attended her son's football game with her ex-husband. Her ex-husband later described her seeming antsy during the game, but didn't know why. Later that night, at 6:30 p.m., surveillance cameras capture Heidi walking her dog, Seven, near the corner of Hope and Flower in downtown Los Angeles. Seven was found about 30 minutes later roaming the halls of the luxury apartment building on that corner. Over the next few days, Heidi's friends and family aren't able to make contact with her and become concerned. When she failed to pick up her son from school on October 20th, her ex-husband reported her missing. Los Angeles police attempted to track her car, cell phone, laptop, and watch, but they'd all been turned off. They later found her phone and laptop with her watch. They found surveillance footage of her entering the apartment building on that corner, but none of her leaving. Based on forensic evidence found at the apartment building, LAPD searched a nearby landfill, theorizing something happened to Heidi at a party in the building and that she was placed in a dumpster via trash chute. The search was fruitless, and no further evidence of Heidi has emerged to this day. Heidi was last seen at 39 years old and is 41 now. She's 5'3" tall, weighs 120 pounds, and has blonde hair and blue eyes. She was last seen driving a gray 2017 Range Rover with California license plate U840X0. That's why I'm here, sharing vanished voices like Heidi's. Please, like and share this video. Someone out there might have the next piece to this puzzle.
George Bush Sr. He was a pilot. This story was wild. In 1992, George Bush Sr. was at this Japanese state dinner, and they brought out this like sushimi in front of him. He pukes, just and then passes out.
Jeez.
It was insane. When I first saw it, I thought it was kind of funny. He's just like, sushi, yeah. Then I found out the story of why he did that, and it was the saddest thing ever. In 1944, he was flying a bomber, and they're going to Father Island, which is a stronghold by the Japanese army in the Pacific. They had to like bomb it. it, but then his plane was shot down. Him and his guys parachuted out of their plane. The Japanese soldiers saw where they landed and they started going towards them.
Oh my gosh.
4 hours went by, the submarine came and got them. But then there was 8 dudes that were captured by the Japanese army.
Oh no.
And this is true. They're all tortured, but 4 of them were actually cut up and
Cannibalized.
They were eating the people?
The
No.
sashimi was person.
yes, George Bush was basically like, I could have been one of those people that was eaten.
Dude.
Insane Coincidences, Part 52. In 2003, a woman found a painting in the trash on a New York City curb. She felt it had power, so she took it home without knowing anything about its value or origin. After holding on to it for 4 years, she eventually discovered that it was a very valuable Mexican painting that was stolen in 1987. So she contacted authorities and received a $15,000 reward plus a percentage of its sale price of over $1 million. In August of 2010, a 13-year-old British teenager was struck by lightning at 1313 on Friday the 13th. He was the only one struck amongst a crowd of 150,000 people who were watching an air show. In 2014, a 39-year-old Brazilian woman named Adriana wanted to find her mother who abandoned her as a baby. So she went on a TV show and ended up finding her mom through the power of the internet. The two had an emotional reunion, but her mother revealed that she had also abandoned Adriana's infant brother, Leandro. In a bizarre twist, Adriana's husband turned out to be her brother, Leandro. But despite the pair being siblings, they vowed to never separate.
Breaking news, authorities have now revealed what the ransom letter said to Charlotte's parents, as well as a motive. Craig Ross Jr., the suspect in the case, was aware of a settlement that Charlotte's grandfather received. In 1998, in New York, he sued the city of Greenfield. Charlotte's grandfather was awarded $2.2 million after he was severely injured in a sledding accident. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2015, but left a sizable payout to the rest of his family. In the ransom note that was left in Charlotte's parents' mailbox, he demanded $50,000. His ex-girlfriend has spoken out and said that he was struggling financially. She said that money would have set him up for at least 5 years, and she also called him a, quote, mooch because he never wanted to work for money and lived off of his mother and girlfriends. Lastly, she states that she believes he is, quote, evil and that he has been stalking and planning this for a long time. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
5 years ago today, Chris Watts sent wife Shannon hints just few days before committing his crimes. When Shannon felt freaked out and asked about the photo, he claimed the kids set it up.
Kidnapped at 11. Gave birth in captivity by 14. My name is J.C. Lee Dugard, and this is my haunting tale. Held for 18 years in a backyard prison in California. Only the bravest should stay. My name is J.C. Lee Dugard. In 1991, when I was just 11 years old and walking to my school bus stop, everything changed. Kidnapped in broad daylight by Philip and Nancy Garrido, I was imprisoned in their back garden, hidden from the world in a maze of squalid tents and dilapidated shacks. Every day, I was subjected to unimaginable violence, both physical and mental. The isolation was total, the despair omnipresent, but the worst was yet to come. At the age of 14, I gave birth to a daughter, the fruit of Philip's relentless abuse. A few years later, a second daughter was born under the same atrocious conditions. These girls, despite the circumstances of their birth, became my beacon of hope, my ray of sunshine in this hellish world. Years went by, each day seeming like an eternity. But in 2009, fate struck. Following an unexpected interaction with the police, my identity was discovered, putting an end to 18 years of captivity. Today, I'm free. I've been reunited with my family, and I'm fighting to rebuild my life. My story, though different, is reminiscent of Josef Fritzl's in Austria, 2 stories of survival and resilience in the face of adversity. I share my experiences to educate, inspire, and show that the human spirit can overcome the worst. For more heartbreaking stories, subscribe and leave comments.
Israel has just declared war on Palestine, and it's a lot worse than you might think. The Palestinian militant group called Hamas has just launched over 5,000 rockets in a coordinated attack by land, sea, and air, and its forces have also crossed the Gaza border. The death toll is reported to be over 400 on both sides, with over 1,000 people being injured, and it's only gonna rise from here on out. My question is, what do you think about this whole conflict?
So I just got back from the emotional journey of watching The Exorcist Believer. To sum it up with no spoilers, the first half was very good, the second half was ass. For the first 40 minutes, I was really impressed with the film and didn't understand why it had bad reviews. But holy shit, did this movie take a turn for the worst. Don't get me wrong, the actors did a great job and there were a lot of creepy, cool ideas that just weren't executed that well. Like I said, the first half was great, there was a whole missing person shebang, super interesting, great character development. But I will say, the scariest part of my movie-going experience was probably when I accidentally squeezed my nearly empty hand sanitizer bottle while it was super quiet. Kind of made it sound like I farted. The people around me started laughing, so you know, recovering from that. Light spoiler alert. I think the moment I realized this movie just wasn't good was when the girls had vapor coming out of their mouths in one of the scenes. Like, they were just evaporating demonic vapor. And that was just so fucking ridiculous to me. That can't be forgiven. I also think they did Ellen Burstyn pretty dirty with what happened to her character. Like, it was so disrespectful to do that to a legacy character that it was almost comical. This isn't the worst horror movie that's ever come out at all. It definitely wasn't good. This is also a sequel to the legendary 1973 Exorcist, so I think it's fair to have expectations for that. That's just my opinion though. Go watch it for yourself and you might love it.
I've got so many Saw props and memorabilia delivered today. For starters, these are real hand-drawn storyboards from Saw 3. This is an authentic hotel keycard that was used for the world premiere of Saw 5. I'm gonna go through these kind of fast. This is Hoffman's autograph. This is Hoffman's autograph. And then finally, this is also Hoffman's autograph. I have to cover up some of it, but this is a signed picture of Amanda from the Needle Pit. Perhaps one of the rarest things I've ever been able to find is the Saw Real Action Heroes figure of John. It's still in the box and everything. This one's kind of goofy, but I like it. It's an I Survived Saw 3D promotional wristband. I just thought that was cute. Of course, I have my new Saw X shirt. It's from Horror Graphics. I know everybody's gonna ask that. Last but certainly not least, I have my giant Saw X poster, framed and everything. Can you tell I'm excited? Like, just a little bit, just a little excited.
Morbid Facts, Part 372. In 2018, Kaylee Mudhart ripped out her own eyeballs and smashed them with her hands during a meth-induced psychotic episode. Kaylee had been awake for almost 48 hours straight, snorting and injecting a concoction of tainted methamphetamine which caused horrific hallucinations. These photos were taken at the wedding of Heather and David Mosher at a Connecticut chapel in 2017. Heather was battling advanced breast cancer but found the strength to marry the love of her life just 18 hours before passing away. In 1975, 197 passengers on a Japan Airlines flight became sick after eating food contaminated with staph bacteria. 144 of them were so ill that they required hospitalization, while 30 of them ended up in critical condition. Turns out one of the cooks who prepared the food had infected lesions on one of his hands. The catering manager later took his own life upon finding out that one of his cooks was responsible. He was the only fatality as a result of the incident.
This is the oldest operating theater in Europe. Hello, friends. I am so excited today because I'm taking you to where gruesome surgeries were performed without any anesthesia or any form of sanitation. And here we are, St. Thomas's Church. If you follow this claustrophobic spiral staircase to the church's attic, you'll find something totally unexpected. This is the old operating theater, and it's here because we're standing on the old site of the medieval St. Thomas's Hospital. And an operating theater was opened here in 1822, and the patients who were operated on here were all women in poverty. So imagine this. You are carried in through this door, blindfolded and mostly nude, and laid on this wooden table. The room would be loud with the echoing voices of 150 men clamoring to get a better view, and you'd be totally conscious. While anesthesia has been in use since ancient times, it was unpredictable and could be deadly, so they decided to proceed without it. And then they would begin surgery. Now, they say they could complete an amputation in under 1 minute, but I think that would just be the longest minute of your life.
Oh my god, they're just like sawing.
Meanwhile, the surgeon's clothes, his tools, the table, and his hands were unwashed, and most bandages were reused. Remember, this is the time before antiseptics. The surgeon's apron was only designed to protect his clothes from your blood. In fact, they left their aprons bloodstained to illustrate their experience as a badge of honor. So if you survived this agonizing procedure, you'd likely die from infection passed to you by the surgeon. And the floor was covered in sawdust to collect blood, so much so that during renovations in the 70s, sawdust below these floorboards was so congealed with dried blood, they had to use a cement cutter to remove it. And while this all sounds like a horror story, this was very real. And the quote on the wall sums up the intentions of the people who worked in this theater. Miserazione, no marcede, meaning for compassion, not for gain. While our ancestors' methods were flawed, they were performed with the best of their knowledge and intentions. But thank goodness for general anesthetic and disinfectant. Have a good day!
It just got crazier. Kourtney Kardashian is done with her sisters. Now, something I mentioned in my last video was that I found it really weird that none of her sisters are in these pictures. And like, her mom's not even there. Someone commented on her post and she replied. They said, are those friends on the Not Kourtney group chat? Because if so, we don't need them there. And she said no, the members of that chat are namely Kim, Khloe, Kendall, and Kylie. Case closed. I saw one of these like tea spill YouTube channels talk about how she wasn't talking to her sisters right now. I have this theory that Travis Barker is isolating her from her family because of all of the stuff that came out about him liking Kim first. I can make a whole video on that if you're interested. Maybe the sisters didn't come because Travis has COVID. Like, even the public knows that Travis had COVID at this time, so it's a little stupid of them to have thrown a baby shower. Like, why did they do that? And maybe her family didn't come because of that. Like, you couldn't wait 2 weeks. You had to do it right now and invite other people? That's dumb. Let me know what you think is going on with the sisters. Follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
Using this bracket to find my favorite horror movie. Okay, between the original Halloween and the original Texas Chainsaw, I have to go with the original Texas Chainsaw. I hate The Conjuring. That's easy. Let's go for Nightmare on Elm Street. Scream or Psycho. Both revolutionary, but I'm gonna have to go with Scream. I love Ghostface. Okay, The Exorcist or Silence of the Lambs? Silence of the Lambs. Okay, The Thing or Alien? That's really easy for me. I love the original Alien. Jaws or Get Out? I really, really, really like both of these movies. I love Get Out, but I'm such a fan of practical effects, and I love the effects in Jaws. I hate The Shining, so we're gonna go for Evil Dead 2. Oh, it's over. I didn't know Saw was here, but and now it is, and Hereditary is the most overrated horror film of all time. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scream, Jaws, Saw, Texas, Saw. I'm not surprised now that that's there.
Their dicks were so big. When we went to the river to bathe, they were like, okay, they just take their clothes off. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna keep my clothes on. I go, dude, I have like a normal penis for, like, I'm proportioned correctly. Like, your shit is down to your knees. And they're like, bro, you know why our dicks are so big? I'm like, why? And there's all these naked kids running around. It's like, because we never wear underwear. I'm like, what? It's like, see the girl whose tits are down to her stomach? Never wear a bra. Gravity, bro. Everything just droops. I'm like, that's why your dicks are so big? I'm like, I'm still gonna leave my underwear on. Like, this is...
Takes too much time.
I go, can you help us get out of the jungle? And they're like, it took less than a day. That's how close we were to, like...
Really?
Yeah, we were probably fucking walking in circles. So we get out in less than a day. I get back home. I'm 19 years old. I was writing for a magazine called Giant Robot, and Gavin and Shane would read that magazine, and they go, will you go back with a camera and a camera crew? And I said, that was one of the most traumatic. I almost died. I saw people murdered. There was a fucking virus where people were bleeding out of their eyeballs. No. Okay, I'll go. Enough time had passed. It was 10 years later, actually.
We lost Grizz Martin, who was on our team. He was driving our vehicle, our Humvee. We had up-armored with plywood and sandbags, and an RPG went right through the wheel well where we couldn't armor the rear one and hit him on his right hip as the driver and detonated his .45, which went off, and then melted his .45 and injured him so bad that he died while they tried to save him.
Photos taken before disaster, part 2. This photo taken last month shows 7-year-old Arthur Bittencourt giving a thumbs up while playing in a pile of poisonous limestone powder in Brazil. Just minutes later, Arthur was tragically fighting for his life after accidentally inhaling particles of the toxic substance. He was quickly rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead on arrival. In 2022, Ukrainian woman Irina Filkina had her photo taken after getting a manicure for Valentine's Day. A few weeks later, she was killed by a tank while pushing her bicycle in the town of Bucha, and her body was identified by her manicure. This was the chilling moment when a laser pointer was shown on Elijah Clayton during a Madden tournament at a Florida mall in 2018. The shooter had lost a game and refused to shake his opponent's hand before leaving the tournament. He later returned with a handgun and fired into the crowd before turning the gun on himself. He killed 2 people, including Clayton, and injured 10 more.
Did you know the angel trap from Saw 3 was actually made to function? Yes, all of the traps in all of the Saw movies are actual, real, working machines. In the context of the movie, the way that this trap works is you see these big, like, hook things right here. Those are latched into her ribcage. And when those things pull upwards, they look like angel wings, and it rips all of the ribs out of her body. This is exactly how the machine functions in real life, only instead of pulling out real ribs from her, they are prosthetic ribs that you just can't see behind this black plating right here. So yeah, it's a real working machine. They just kind of dirtied it up a little bit to make it look more rustic and old for the movie. So yes, could it rip out your ribs? Theoretically, but it's not actually connected to her ribs, so she's at no risk whatsoever. This is basically the same case with the rack from Saw 3. Yes, there are real motors on this thing that are really spinning parts of his limbs. However, he has free control over all of his limbs and he could pull them out at a moment's notice if he really needed. Also, his hands and feet aren't really nailed into the thing, so he's fine.
Franz Ferdinand was the heir to the Austrian throne, and his assassination caused World War I.
Okay.
The butterfly effect led to Japan being overrun by raccoons.
Oh, I'm ready for this.
Okay, World War I breaks out. Germany's the bad guy. Germany loses.
Yeah!
Which causes Germany to go into a great depression. So, Germany's in chaos. The Nazi party rises up. We're going to save the country. But by saving the country, we're going to try to take over the world. World War II breaks out. Guess who also joins World War II?
Japan.
Also bad guys. We beat Japan. America moves in and occupies Japan. Okay. They bring in comic books, which leads to Japan creating
anime.
Then an anime show came out where the anime characters were raccoons. And everyone in Japan loved this anime of raccoons.
Yeah.
Raccoons weren't even in Japan. They started importing raccoons. And now Japan is like overrun by raccoons.
Really? That's crazy.